Schubert it is, then. I made a pass through Franz Schubert's mature string quartets over 7 years ago when my video making skills were raw and completely unpolished and my analyses thus wanting in crucial detail. It's time to revisit them. This music deserves the very best I can give it. Franz Peter Schubert's life was tragically short, just 31 years. He was a prolific composer from the time he was 13 years old, but the great flowering of musical individuality that came to define him really began when he was about 20. The single quartet movement under review, the C minor Quartettsatz, was written in 1820 when the composer was 23 years old. It was intended as the first movement of a four-movement quartet following the same plan as his earlier quartets, and the exposition of an andante movement to follow was completed and then abandoned, as with several other notable works from about the same period, including his unfinished B minor symphony. It's never been clear why Schubert laid aside so many excellent works in progress, never to return to and complete them. Perhaps his musical ideas were at that point in his life changing so rapidly that his compositions simply couldn't keep up. This unfinished quartet is widely regarded as the first of Schubert's mature works in that genre, and it was followed a few years later by 3 of the composer's greatest masterpieces, also for those forces. Those are the works I'll take up in turn, improving my coverage of them. It's perhaps useful to consider Schubert in the light of Beethoven, who in 1823 was still very much among us and writing some of his own greatest masterpieces, the late quartets. Schubert's C minor Quartettsatz is a sonata form movement whose every measure bespeaks a far different composer from Beethoven, who was both the idol and nemesis of the younger artist. Beethoven's music is often densely polyphonic, bristling with fugues and invertible counterpoint and making huge demands on performers and audience alike. Schubert's style is much more homophonic, not surprising in a composer whose primary expressive vehicle was always the human voice. His themes are almost always lyrical, often presented in somewhat contrasting pairs, themes 1A and 1B in the present case, for instance, and usually stated twice, also as in the present work. There are interesting key relations that suggest a different approach to sonata form from Beethoven's. For instance, the theme 1 area is actually a group of 2 themes, the second of them in the flat submediant key of the whole. During the recap, the first of those themes is absent. It is theme 1B that is brought back here, presented first in B-flat major and then in E-flat. The transition is somewhat compressed during the recapitulation. The second group appears regularly, with its second member affectingly darkened compared to its expository statements, and the coda, which makes a final reference to theme 1A, is brief and summary. You'll be hearing a recording of a live performance by the Alban Berg Quartet, and I'll link you to their video in the description below.
Thank you.